is One Nation, presented by tonybet. You can't block that with Wills and Trills.
Oh, I was going to take your mic, that's why. I was going to just...
You're going to try and steal my mic?
I was going to, but I decided not to.
So it begins. Yes, Sandy Petrollo, Jordan Wilson with you here. We missed you. We love you. We have one more month to go, by the way, in the Canadian Premier League.
Wow.
One more month. That's how quick time flies.
When you said that, I didn't even think about the football. I just thought about the weather. Because the final is always...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that means the heat is...
He's gone.
Is disappear.
It's going. Going.
And we've been living the life. I brought out the little blow-up pool in the backyard. Like, we've been living 27 degrees. I got the shoulders. I was showing the arms.
Oh.
But it's about to be cold,
Do you wear tank tops in public?
It depends what I'm doing. If I'm going
like
to
if you're going out on a date night, like are you a tank top guy?
Nah. We're not doing that. But if we're going to I need to go pump some gas, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Or pick up Jamaican food at my favorite Jamaican spot, yeah. But no, am I going
out? If it's a nice tank top, it says I don't know, Gucci across it, you're still not wearing it.
I was waiting for you to say anything Italian. It had to say...
Gucci. You still wouldn't wear it. You're like, I'm not going to go out on a date. I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm not going to go to the coffee shop in a tank top.
Nah, I don't think the tank's me. I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
Because our handsome, talented producer, Carl Hall, asked me a question, and it had me pondering about potato chips. And we have to get to the bottom of this. You know me and you. You know we love food. We know we love to snack. Your top 3 potato chips. I asked my lovely wife this. She looked at me and she said, universally or personally? I said, can you give me both? So I'm going to ask you what you think. Personal top 3 potato chips. Start at number 3.
So this always creates debate. Food always does. When we had our talk about our top 3 fruits, people went nuts over that.
Yeah.
Because it is a personal thing.
It is very personal.
And it's very sensitive.
And how could you like figs?
Okay, figs are still my number 1.
No worries. Let's digress.
No, I think papaya was my number 1. Then it's figs, and then it's raspberries. Don't try to throw me off. I know exactly what fruits I love. And I know exactly what potato chips I love. I get my potato chip craze from my mother, by the way. My mom once knocked me over when she found out that there were potato chips in the house. Hip checked me out of the way to get to the pantry. My dad's like, we can't keep chips in the house.
Mama Trillo's my type of girl.
Yeah, she will walk over children to get chips.
Her own.
So yeah, her own too. I do love potato chips as well. So my number 1. So, and here, I'm going to put a potato chip as a number 1, even though my number 2 should really be my number 1, but it's not really a chip.
What is going on?
Okay, just listen up. Listen
3, 2, 1, give me a chips.
Listen.
What's happening?
So number 3, tried and true, I'm going Lay's, and I'm going salt and vinegar. So my number 3 is salt and vinegar.
Decent.
Now
specifically Lay's.
So the reason why I'm going to put this at number 2 is because it's not considered a potato chip. It's more of like a corn or a popped corn, whatever. But I'm going to put it in there. So it's going to be number 2, even though this is my absolute weakness. I will walk over children for it. Sweet and salty kettle corn. Oh my goodness. If that is in the house, it does not last 10 minutes. Never mind, doesn't last a day. It doesn't last 10 minutes. My husband one time, John, brought home a bag from Costco. It was gone. And he came home to me with the bag open, my head in the bag. I was licking the bottom. It was so bad. So I'll put that as number 2 because let's be fair. My number 1 potato chip, again, Lay's barbecue.
Lay's barbecue.
Barbecue.
That's like your chip. So if I bring that to the studio at any time, you're elated.
And I eat them one at a time because I love them so much. And I
and
just
also light. They're
and
light.
I enjoy I just let the
fair.
flavor melt in my before I take the next one.
This is why this list is so hard, because barbecue didn't even make it on my list, but that is definitely an honorable mention. But there's 4 honorable mentions.
Barbecue,
so how could you come with the top 3?
So I'm barbecue, kettle corn, salt and vinegar.
Okay, the one that's kind of question mark, but I'll allow it because you're Andy Patrill and you schooled me to the game, you're a big sis, is the whole kettle corn, whatever nonsense. I'm like, nah. All right, for me, the right answer, I think number 3 is all dressed.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean? You don't like all dressed?
I'll eat it. What's the brand?
Ruffles?
Ruffles. Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
that
I'll eat
for me,
it.
that is so good. It can fall in my son's car seat. I don't know how long it's been there. I look at it. Oh, wait, bless it. It comes in. Yeah. Let me eat that. It could have been in there for 2 months. Yeah, I'm eating it.
And
That's number 3.
That's how the next pandemic starts.
Number 2. This goes out to my Canadians because when I went to school in the States and I was telling all my friends, how do you not have ketchup chips?
Ketchup is a good.
But specifically, President's Choice. Back in the day, I'd go no-name ketchup chips as well, but we've evolved. Mama, we made it. President's Choice ketchup chips. Number 2, Silver. They slap. That's another one I would eat off the floor.
Okay.
Maybe I have issues.
I would eat a lot of things off the floor, though, so I'm not one to judge you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Number 1, Miss Vicky's. You can go a lot of
I was
directions.
gonna say, is Miss Vicky's gonna make an appearance?
Yeah, but you can go with the jalapeno. I think that's great. But I personally have to put that salt and vinegar for that Miss Vicky's. That son of a gun, that bag right there, I think has a little green or the blue. That is it. Give me that.
Okay, I like all of our lists. They're all. I mean, you can't like.
could be
How do
missing
you
some.
argue against? I mean, I don't know.
It's personal.
As long as I sometimes, believe it or not, I get a craving for dill pickle.
Yes.
Which is weird.
Yes.
Like, so I have those other chips where I'm like, I could go for a dill pickle.
Yeah.
I could go for a sour cream.
Yes.
Right? Like, I could
I'm
go for
killing those
those
right now in Ruffles. That's a fad in my
Yes.
house.
And then
Yep.
sometimes I don't want just one chip. I get a bowl and I put them all in there.
And when you have that party, you invite me over.
And whatever comes in the hands and goes in the mouth, that's the flavor it is.
Chip me.
Because I love potato chips.
Chip me.
There we go. So now that you know what kind of program this is going to be, it was off the
That was
rails
great.
right out of the gate, but we're going to bring it back to the CPL one more month to go, and we still have some jostling for positioning going on.
Nice.
Right? I mean, is Forge completely locking in number 1? Don't know.
question.
So is that still up for grabs? Is the Shield still up for grabs? That 5th and final playoff spot still up for grabs?
Yes.
Right? Who's going to make that? So let's go through all the teams. And I just want you to tell me kind of what's happening with them.
Yes.
So Halifax Wanderers, let's talk about them first. Do you think that they were killed off too soon, given what they've been able to do? By the way, beating Forge
Yeah.
3-0. I would make the argument that if you're Forge, get a poo-poo game out of the way.
It was a poo-poo game for
Just
them.
get it out of the way in the regular season.
Yeah.
It's all good. You know, pay attention to the playoffs. Get that out of your system now. But either way, still shocking. Still
Yes.
a big win for Halifax.
It was a big win. They needed it. But yeah, it was a bit alarming when you look at whatever app you have and you're checking it, or if you're watching the game live and you're seeing the goals from
One second.
for Halifax Wanderers. I spoke to Patrice Geyser in the week, and he still believes that this team could go far and really make a run in the playoffs. But he was like, we need to switch things up naturally because they have 2 players sent off in the last match against Pacific, so they had to make some changes. But just in terms of personnel and the players that maybe he's trusted that haven't really produced, and you have to switch things up. Producer, dear friend, pundit, he does it all, Oliver Platt, said something about form, and it is so true with the last 5-6 games. Sometimes you could be performing so well for 22 games, and the last bit you plummet. Could this be a time that Halifax Wanderers really turns it around and gets it going? For me, there's a lack of trust that I have with this squad. Players, big names, whether it be JGL, Jeremy Ganga-Laparé getting sent off, or players being missing at certain times, or Nimick being sent off, or not showing up when they need to, just has me feeling like they won't be there at the end, but they're only 3 points off, Andy Petrillo.
Oh, I was going to say, because
Go,
5
talk to
through
me.
8,
Yeah?
there isn't much separating them. So you're right. They're at 23 points. Vancouver right now is holding on to that 5th and final playoff spot is only at 26. They're not that far ahead. Halifax with the game in hand as well. So you're looking at that going, seriously?
I know.
Can they do it? But to your point, they did have 2 sent off in that 3-0 loss to Pacific. They're going to have a really big rematch against them as well this week. That's going to be huge.
It's one of those things when you look at a team and they've disappointed you throughout the season, and do you trust that the hope or what's on the other side could be different? Or do you just trust what they've been laying out for all of 2024? So for me, that's why I look at them, and I'm not really confident yet that I could put them in a 5th place spot for playoffs, because throughout the season, they've had these moments where they'll win a game, then they'll go on a drought again. They'll win a game, then a player will get sent off. Their big dogs will perform, then the next week they won't. They've been inconsistent through and throughout. So that's why I don't really see them going that far. I hope they surprise me. But there's one spot to play for, that 5th place spot. and they still got a lot of work to do to get there.
It'll be huge tomorrow, so you'll have Halifax Pacific right here on One Soccer. So if you haven't
Big
figured
match.
out, we're going 8 through 1. So let's go number 7 right now in the
Number 7
standings.
right now.
That is Valour. They too are sitting on 23 points. Now, despite their improved performances, are you getting the sense that they're destined to miss the playoffs again?
I just talked about how.
So is it just them, by the way, and Vancouver? Vancouver being still like a new team.
Yeah.
Just Valour and Vancouver are the only teams that haven't made the postseason, but Valour is a day oneer.
Yeah.
And so the only one of the day oneers not to make
And you could
postseason.
almost say, too, and argue, I remember 2021 barely missed it because York United got that 4th spot. So they would have made it if the new schedule or new system was in place for 5th place.
Can't look back.
Can't.
Coulda,
But
shoulda, woulda.
coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't.
Yeah.
This team is likable, Valour. Their coach is likable. I saw Phil DeSantos. I was at York Lions Stadium this Friday. Saw him, even though it was a 1-1 draw. The way that he conducts himself, the way that he carries himself, he makes his players want to play for him and play for that city. It's difficult for someone who's not born in Winnipeg to go to Winnipeg to really adopt that place as a second home. And he's done that, and he's brought in players that he could swear by. You ask players or pundits or people around this league, they want Valour to go to the playoffs. They want that 5th place spot. But then they get moments like a Dante Campbell handball that wasn't a handball in any part of the game. They lose 2 points. A York situation where Reza Sal chips Vincencini at the end, just barely goes wide. That they get 1 point, but it could have been 2. It's like they're so unlucky. Will their luck turn in this last bit, or are they just that team that is good but not great and never get to the promised land? They have to figure something out. I think Jordy Swivel is going to be huge for them. They need a striker. I know Sean Hondo has been stepping up and has been playing well up top, but they need someone. And Andy, you follow the game for so long, and many games, even in hockey, it's about rhythm. And if your team can really go and push. With Valour right now, they're getting results, but do they have enough to push to get 3 points when they need it, or to beat that team that's
the
right
thing.
there?
It's like a point here, point there. And then there's things that just need to come together. No clean sheets in their last 7.
Yes.
But they've scored in like 9 of their last 10.
They're always in it.
So they're always in it, but they're not getting the full 3. Or there's just like, or you're giving up a goal.
Yeah.
And like, you're just like, what is going on here?
I know.
It just feels a little too much of like the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back type of thing, a little bit with Valour.
I don't know how you feel, though, Trills, but everything in me says it's going to be decided on the last day. That the 28th game is going to decide 5th, 6th, 4th, and honestly, 2nd and 3rd.
Isn't this what you want though?
Yeah.
Isn't this like
Sign me up.
And we can have a conversation another day, because I know a lot of people now with the NFL season starting, there's a lot of people who already feel, I guess, tired is the word that I could use, about like the Kansas being winners and looking good. I think back in the day, we loved the dynasties.
For sure.
But in today's day and age of short attention spans, every year you need like an interesting story, you need a spicy story, you need something different, you need something exciting.
Parody.
And I'm not taking away from what Forge has done.
Yeah.
But that's just it. I think in this day and age, more than ever, people do want parity.
For sure.
So I think Forge, I think they're going to finish number 1. They're obviously going to be a player. There's no denying how great they are in consistency, and that's to be admired. But I love the fact that it will come down to the final day. Because if it's anything else, I'm bored.
I have a question for you about Forge, but we'll save it for later.
We'll save
but
it
I
for
have,
later.
I have that one. It's in my notes. I don't make notes, but I put that one in there specifically for you.
Okay.
Where we at? Number 6?
We're at number 6, which is Pacific, who finally has figured out how to score.
Late bloomers.
Isn't that wonderful? Do you think that it's crazy to think that they could actually get into the playoffs? So they're sitting at 26 points. They are tied with Vancouver right now on the points situation. But obviously, they don't have as many goals. Vancouver 26, Pacific 20. But
I just like that there was a few weeks ago we were talking about they are probably going to be the team in Canadian Premier League history for the wrong reason, which is the goals for would have been less than 21, which is the CPL's worst.
crazy.
Now I can safely say, confidently say that they will pass that. But I think this has to do with James Merriman. You know that this is a Nanaimo guy who's from that area, bleeds for the West Coast, bleeds for the Pacific, has maybe just gotten the better of that transfer market, because you got rid of Saloof, who is a talented player but maybe wasn't effective, and you got like a Moses Dyer, and even when I played against him, he's like a hockey forward. He's like in the corner, wrestling, battling. Even when you don't see him, you know he's coming, has size, has physique, can finish. Now you have a Pacific side that says, we can't play any worse than we've played. Let's step it up just a little bit. Let's score, let's get it. And now they're 2 points away from getting to a spot where they could feel good about. I mean, if I had to put money on a team right now, I'd have to put on Pacific to make 5th place.
And do you think that they would be a real threat, that if they got in, they could be a real threat to go to the final?
I think whoever is a 5th place team, you have to embrace that underdog role. You will never play at home. You have to go through the gauntlet. You have to do something difficult, which is a Sunday match, a Wednesday match, and then a Saturday match, and you have to win all of them. Okay, so if you lose that last match of the league, you still have to go and play Wednesday, and we know this big, beautiful country. That could be Pacific playing West Coast, maybe going all the way to East Coast or playing Mountain Time. Who knows? They have to go and work and really relish that, but you got to like this side. I think James Merriman, the move that he made with Moses Dyer was influential to his squad. And yeah, now they're looking good.
Going to be tough. 4 of their final 6 games are against teams top 4.
Whew.
So that's going to be tough for them. Vancouver seems to be falling apart, currently holding on to that 5th and final playoff spot, but 3 consecutive losses without scoring a goal. Jardo, next 2 games against Forge and Cavalry. So it's not like that mountain is shrinking. It just gets a little bit steeper for them as well. I mean, what are you making of what's like, do you think, how about this? Are they making the playoffs?
It's tough to put them there right now. Afshin Gotby said, like, players can't keep making the same mistakes, and they keep making them week in and week out. And he has to make some changes. What changes will he make to the side that is very veteran heavy? Like, he's really put all his money on older players that he felt like wouldn't let him down, and maybe now you have must-win games, and they have to turn it around, and can they? I mean, it will be spicy. It's going to be a take. I've really liked this team from the beginning, but they've changed a lot since then.
Okay, how about Austin Ricci? Do you think he can make a difference?
I think it's an addition, but I think what type of Austin Ricci are we going to see? Respectfully, this is like former teammate of mine and a friend. But what type of player is he coming in? Is he going to come in and come off the bench and be dynamite from the last 20 minutes? He's going to start games. How do you work with him and Diaz? Is it going to be the same type of 1-2 punch as Diaz and Dyer were? They don't have much time to figure it out. You have to really, whoever's looking good, whoever you're feeling good about, you're going to have to play, and they have to perform. But there's not much room for error.
And for a player, too, there's a lot of a mental grind when you go from a team that's sitting in a playoff spot to a team that's either not or fighting for one. It's a different switch that you have to flip in your brain, right, in order to be considered a great acquisition.
For sure. I oftentimes, when I think about, I didn't love it, but when I ran cross country in middle school, right? And everyone's saying, like, don't look over your shoulder, don't look behind, because then you're finished, right? Look ahead. Imagine that little cramp you got on the right side, little Jordy. You got that cramp. You feel someone breathing on you. That is Vancouver FC right now. Pacific, everyone's breathing. I can't do it again. I won't be here. Everyone's breathing on their shoulder. You can't help but just do one of these trills. Watch. You see the little,
don't do it, don't do
it.
it.
It's over.
Don't do it.
So they have to find a way to keep pushing, pinch that cramp, keep pushing ahead, slap them if they come, stick a leg out to trip them, but they have to keep forward, because if they don't, they're finishing 6th, 7th, or 8th. Like, they need to just find whatever's left in the tank. You're just thinking about a little young 10-year-old just cramping.
This heavy breathing behind you.
You're not, it's the worst. But yeah, that's where we are with 5th. Vancouver are there now. They have to do everything right to keep it there, because I think Pacific, Valour, and Halifax are breathing down their neck. They want it. And they've shown it as of late that they want it more than Vancouver
There
does.
is not a lot of separation between 5th and 8th. Where we start to see the gap widen is when 4th place now.
You feel good that these 4 are the 4.
Yeah, because like there's a 9-point gap now,
like
right?
no one's taking a 4th place spot from any one of these.
So this is Cavalry now. And they're sitting in the 4th spot.
Yes.
Is Ali Musi the best player in the CPL? Or I should say, still the best player in the CPL, right? Players Player Award.
Sorry, say
Playa
it right?
Playa.
There it is.
He's the Playa Playa
There
Award from last year. We know that he had an impact even in that final as well, going into overtime, finding the opening. Like, this is a guy when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Because it's another
changer,
presence
for
that
sure.
you miss when he's injured. Does he give Cavalry the playoff edge?
Yes. In a must-win game, a healthy Ali Musi, a healthy Dan Clown, but we'll just focus on Musi. He is that guy, and he's embracing that now. Assist in the last game, a goal that not many people could score. Like, he's going backwards a little bit. Then he doesn't even chip Nate Ingham. He just hits it top corner with a little dip. Beautiful hit, like 25 yards out. If you haven't seen it, please tune in and watch the highlights. But that for me is the reason Tommy Wilden Jr. has to be feeling good about going to playoffs. But I have a question for you.
But do you think they're? Oh, hold on.
You go first.
I was going to say, do you think they're just a little frustrated because, we know that game against Valour with the 2 goals that ends in a draw.
Yeah.
Atletico Ottawa, that's a big one. That's also a 2-2 draw.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of draws. And I don't know why. To your point, maybe it's because things are so tight. I mean, are they scared to go out, make a mistake? Like, are people playing cautious? I don't know, because I feel like there are a lot of draws. Ottawa, right, we know they're nipping at the heels of Forge.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to win the regular season? You want that shield. As we know, you win the shield. That also means entrance into CONCACAF Champions Cup. So that's like one check thing that, one less thing to have to worry about. Also, you go into the 1-2. If you win, you go straight to the final. There's a lot of things there. And I'm just like, well, Cavalry can get there. They can close that gap, and it's draw.
Yeah.
Draw.
I don't think they have the same. They're not finishing off teams the same way that they did last year. Last year, they felt impenetrable. Like, you were playing them, and you almost knew you had to be perfect in season to go and beat them. Mm-hmm. Now, it's like they seem human. They seem like you could really. They're still a great team. For me, still a top 2 team in this league. Still love watching them play and what they bring. But they seem like you can get the better side of them if you really play your best. And the question I have to you, or for you, about Cavalry is there pressure after that 13-point gap and that win and that Shield win last season for them to go on and win the Shield, or is it still just winning that last match and winning the North Star Cup?
Playoffs, baby.
It's the playoffs.
It's playoffs.
There's pressure for playoffs. So as long as they get to the dance,
they need that North Star Cup.
That's what's missing.
They need that North Star Cup. For me personally, I think that's what's missing. And the look on all their faces as well. They can say whatever they want to say. The look on their faces when they lose that final, not just last year, but even in previous years. I still remember year 1, even 2019. Like, it is absolute stunned. Like, it matters. It matters. They want that. They know it matters.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's what matters for them.
So they're in 4th right now. I don't see them finishing 4th. I see them finishing 2nd, at worst 3rd, but I still feel like they're playing in that 1-2 game. I can't count Cavalry out. You'll see this week playing at York Lions Stadium against York.
So let's talk York.
If they can get that win.
So they're sitting in 3rd right now.
Yeah.
Are they a true trophy contender?
I think watching them live this past week, but also just watching nearly every game that they play, they are a playoff contender for sure. This is the best season that they would have in their history, but I still think they're a bit light to go out and win it all.
Who's missing? Who do you need?
Brian Wright.
Okay.
A handsome fellow, John Conway, loves Brian Wright. Mm-hmm. He's right about Wright. They need him at that number 9 position. No coming back from an ankle injury. Watching York play, they have some players that have played outside of themselves, have played fantastic football, have had some additions come into this league. You talk about Guzman, but I'm even talking about Vincenzini. I think he's a well-oiled goalkeeper. Elijah Adekube, who has put all the pieces, maybe weaker parts of his game, are now gone, abolished. He's tackling, he's running, he's making sure he's in the right place at the right time, and then doing what he's always done with his passing ability. Then you have an X factor of Mo Babuli. They still miss someone, a killer in the box. And I watched them. They have a lot of similar players. Guzman, Cordoba, guys, technical, love a 1-2. But in a must-win game, you need goals. And more importantly, you need a threat going forward. I just don't know if they have that outside of a Brian Wright. And with the 9 goals and 6 assists this season, no one has embodied that more You could say Del Campo for Ottawa, but
Yeah.
he has been everything for them.
Next matches, next 3, Cavalry Forge, Atletico Ottawa. We have no clue who's hosting the final, but the fact that York is in the mix, if they do end up hosting the final, I'm from York region. I've already told my parents we're
you wearing
all
your cap?
staying with them. No, we're all going to stay with them.
Okay. That's
Already-
nice.
I've already told them.
Nice.
The entire One Soccer crew,
Like basement vibes, or
we
what are
are
we doing?
bunking at the Petrillo household.
I just can't wait for the Italian food.
I know.
Bacillo.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about numero 2, and that's Atletico Ottawa. Can Atletico Ottawa win a trophy with Ollie Bassett out of form
No.
and favor?
No.
You got to get back in there.
Find a way to get him on the pitch.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on. I know Ollie Bassett personally. Player that works hard, loves his football, has high ambitions, has a great attitude. This was the thing with Atletico Ottawa, having all these players, spending the money that they did. We said you have to find a way to get all of them on the same page and getting along. And I'm not saying
did.
that this contention. They did, but guess what, Trills? This is the favorite time of the season right now.
And
this
now
is
they
the
didn't.
next
Yeah.
7-8 games where everyone, I've got to be high-fiving you like this. High-five me. Not low fives, high fives. Like up here, and hey, that's how we gotta be high-fiving now. This is gut check time.
With flair.
Yes. And Ottawa, just like, they're getting it done, but it's not emphatic. And I think Ollie Bassett, I think you have to reward the players that really got you there. And if you look at Atletico Ottawa, especially the season where they played in the last game in 2022, there's a reason why he was the player of the year. Like, he was exceptional. And even last season, he was great.
Yeah, no goal or assist, last 6 appearances, and was an unused substitute on Sunday against Cavalry. And we know that that was an important,
Gotta figure it out.
important game. So let's talk about number 1 now, sitting in the number 1 position, and that would be Forge.
Yes.
Would you be surprised if they don't win the double? Oh,
I would
one's
be.
won the double yet, eh?
No one. No one. I would be surprised.
And is that good or bad for the league? This is our conversation now, right?
I mean, that's a question I want to hear your feedback, but I'll answer quickly. I think it's great. I think it's great every season you have a barometer, you have a measuring stick, you have someone or some team that seems to always find these gems who aren't Canadian coming into this league and benefiting it. Then the gems that are Canadian seem to be producing year in and year out, even though they're getting older. Then you have young players like a Noah Jensen or Kwesi Poku that are stepping up and leaving the league or being a huge addition in the league, and Noah Jensen. I think it's great because every team knows that they have a team that they have to go and beat. And if they're not great and they don't beat that team, that there's someone that they will know gladly take the North Star Cup, gladly take the Canadian Premier League Shield. So I like that Forge is winning. I think someone needs to knock them off the pedestal.
Yeah, I think it's a bit big of a is it good or bad for the league? I think it'll be fine because if they go and get the double, there's always storylines around that. Like we just finished saying, no other team has done that. We know even last year even though they had won all these cups, they'd never won at home. That was like another thing. And that final was just so dynamic. It was incredible, that final. But I do think at some point, from a story point of view, from a media point of view, if they win, I don't know if the storylines are as electric as they got knocked down, or somebody beat them in this, or somebody surprised them with this, or this other player on this other team became a hero, right? Because now here's the thing, Jordan.
Talk to me.
My young grasshopper.
Hey, I knew it was coming.
My young grasshopper in the
Preach.
media industry. As a fan, you will always want something different than as a journalist. So when you're in the media, suddenly your wants and needs and desires
You tell me this all the time.
become so different because storylines matter. As a fan, of course, like obviously there's Forge fans out there, they're like, we don't really care about anyone else. It's Forge all the time. That's it. You're a fan, you don't care whose feelings are hurt as long as your team is winning. But as someone who's part of the media, I'm like, I need something a little spicy to talk about here. And maybe that means someone knocking Forge off. Maybe that means, a complete surprise and utter shock if they don't even win the Shield. And then even if they lose that, maybe if they finish 1 and 2 and they lose that and they got to go the other route and they lose the fight. Like, that to me, from a media perspective, are the spicier stories.
I hear you. Rapid fire, quickly, and you can ask me, who is that team you feel confident that could beat Forge? Is it Cavalry, looking really good? Is it Atletico Ottawa, who's been good for the beginning part of the season, have a lot of players that are exceptional? can they go and do it?
It's got to be Cavalry for me.
You're putting it.
It's got to be Cavalry for me.
That's fair. More than fair.
I know.
And where are we hosting the finals?
I don't
Is
know.
it Tim Hortons Field? Is it in Hamilton?
I just want
Are
it
we
to
going
be.
Mountain Time?
If it's York, it's just we're going home.
Oh, I can't wait. Mama Petrillo.
But we have no clue. That's why this is what we love about the season. See ya.